Okay, thanks for coming, everyone. So, a couple of years ago, I read the news and I read that some hackers got access into one of Facebook's systems and they eventually got access to millions of people of information. And my first thought was like, damn, I didn't expect that. I guess they are working on it to fix this issue. And this kept happening week after week, different companies trying to get access and using people's data for their own financial gain, among other things. And now I think back at it and I feel like how naive I was to even feel like that they even care. So many people asked me why I'm doing this, why I'm doing this talk, and why I'm talking about ethics on the internet, among blog posts, tweets, and stuff like that. And at this point, I feel that I need to take action and do something about it because we don't discuss it evenly enough, and we need to do so. But one of the most important reasons that made me to create this talk, among all the other things I did, was that being unethical and not doing the right thing, it started to become the norm in this industry, and this is beyond scary and dangerous. I'm not here to talk to you about a new signing framework or about a specific technique or another new thing. I'm here to tell you that we messed up. We messed up really hard, and we still have time to fix it, but we need to act now. So before I get into that, I guess it would be a good idea to describe ethics in tech right now through a single GIF. So yeah, here it is. And here is how companies think about being ethical. We need to change that. One of the first questions that comes into my mind is that how did we get here? How did we get from the point of we are doing that to help people and improve people's lives to interference, elections, selling people's data, and doing all of this sneaky stuff under the radar? Since I started researching about this talk, I found 30 million results about unethical companies in Google, and most importantly, I found 90 plus incidents that only happened the last year or so. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to share with you different stories about how companies violated users' privacy and data. So here's some of the it's a lot. I want to split up the type of issues in three categories. The first one is technology and election interference, and I want to talk about the US election and, in a way, how it happened. So I want to talk about Cambridge Analytica and what they did with people's data. So they get all of this data and they target a specific set of people so they can mess with their mind and brain and make them feel and see things that they are not even real. How they did that? They did that through fake news and misinformation. We can find fake news and misinformation in different forms, such as articles, edited videos where a politician may say one thing, but the edited video would make him say another thing, deepfake videos, and clickbaits. Another thing I want to talk about is Brexit. Brexit is another one of these cases where it really happened under our nose and we didn't even realize it. You may ask how it happened, and I would invite you to watch this TED Talk from Kedal's TED Talk, and one of the quotes that struck me, and I'm still thinking about it, is Brexit happened inside Facebook. It took place in darkness, where you didn't know what you see, or many different people get different kinds of news feeds. So all this information, after you see it, gets away. So there is no way for a reporter or a journalist to go back at it and see if that's real or if that actually happened. You don't know from where these ads or campaigns are coming from, who paid for these campaigns, among other things. So enough with all this stuff. I want to take a moment and talk about the smart home. Many people are really excited because they can say, hey Alexa, turn on my lights, and the lights are automatically turned on. But there's huge consequences in this convenience, if you want to say. Many companies are getting into this area, from Amazon to Google to Apple, and they really want to target us. And the reason they want to do that is for advertising purposes, and they can do that through surveillance. So a team of people who are working on products like Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant are listening to our conversations without even us noticing it. You don't want to take my word for it, you can take their word for it. But what they are looking into, all these companies, what they are interested in, they are interested in things like patterns. When do you wake up? When do you come back from work? When you wake up, what's the first thing you say to your smart product, and what happens inside your house? They are looking for all these patterns to know more about your life. They are pretty serious about integrating all these devices into our homes, where they want to integrate these devices before we even move into a new apartment, which is pretty scary. Amazon is trying to do that with hospitals as well. They are working with hospitals to integrate Amazon Alexa in many of them. And one of the scariest aspects of this whole story is that this whole thing is invisible. You don't know that it's happening, you're not aware of it, and in a way, the next tech revolution is going to be invisible, and it's already happening. Smart home is part of this revolution. So the next time you think it would be a good idea to have a smart device into your home, you may think, who are you inviting into your home, and ultimately your life. The third case I want to talk about is the Volkswagen emission scandal, where Volkswagen did many tricks to trick United States so they could pay less fines. But the reason I want to mention it is, as a result, one of their engineers who worked on Volkswagen and on that specific product, if you want to say, got into jail. So the company got fines, but the engineer had if you're going to say, real consequences for their actions. So as you can see, we have a really big problem. But as engineers, what we do is to decompose this problem into smaller pieces and find a solution for each of our problems. So that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the talk. I'm going to split out the problem into 4 different areas, which the areas are connected to each other in a way, and I'm going to propose some solutions for these problems. So the first area I'm going to focus on is culture. Culture is something you build along with building your product. You cannot have one without having the other. So What decisions you make during your product development, it influences your culture. Silicon Valley is one of these like mythical places where all these people are going there and they build amazing products with so many users, and they have this great impact, but as we see, it's not so great anymore. It's more of the opposite. So they want to do this thing where they want to disrupt the market, they want to create Uber for X or Facebook for, I don't know, YZ. And the bigger problem here is that they only want to focus on the positives of what they are doing and not the negatives. They only plan for the positives. One of the things that made the situation worse and made us to be in this situation where we are right now is this move fast and break things. This philosophy made Facebook what it is today, with so many users, profit, some great stuff, but they also made Facebook what it is today regarding election interference, misinformation, treating their workers the way they do. And this is another thing they introduced at the last F8, their developer conference, like the future is private. I really laughed when I heard that line, and I couldn't believe that they had like the guts to say that in front of everyone. And behind the scenes, what they are trying to do is they are trying to merge all their platforms, so Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, to make it one thing. And the second thing they want to introduce into their like product, such as Messenger, is encryption, message encryption. And I want to take a minute to decompose that message and what it means for Facebook and what it means for consumers. So why do they want to merge their platforms? Why there is such a need to do that now more than ever? So the reason they want to do that is because they want to make it harder for regulators to split up the company. So there is a discussion lately where many people say that Facebook needs to be broken up to be 3 different or 4 or 5 different entities, because now it's one. And they are getting away with a lot of things. So this is why they want to merge their platforms. They don't want to create a better experience for everyone. They don't want to make everyone feel safer on the platform. They don't want to do any of that PR stuff. They want to get away with everything. And the second thing I want to see an answer is, how do they plan to encrypt our messages? And this is really tricky, because at first I believed that they had good intentions, but they actually don't. So the process of sending a message or having a conversation now is that someone will send you a message, Facebook scans the message for malicious content, and now Facebook then will encrypt the message. I want you to all pay attention to the second step, which says Facebook scans the message for malicious content or any terrorist stuff. But what they really do is they scan your message to throw you advertisement afterwards. One of the many examples is that I talked with a friend about Swift programming language, and she wanted to get into it and learn more about it. And after we had this conversation in text, the next time she opened Instagram, she got an advertisement about a book about Swift. So I don't call that encryption, or at least it doesn't protect you from getting scanned on and get advertisement. One One of the things I found in many companies' DNAs is that they only focus on the positives, how they are building something and they will improve people's lives, and that they're only going to have like a positive impact and nothing negative. They rarely discuss what happens if something like that misused from someone with bad intentions. One of the examples is how Twitter took a while to address harassment on their platform, and they still don't do that. So that's one of the many examples of them focus only on the positives. So the second part of the problem is deeply connected to culture. So I would like to ask, what do you think is the second part of the problem? Anyone? Any idea? Yep, it's leadership. Leadership can influence the culture of the company in a good or a bad way. Leadership and culture are deeply connected. When I think of leadership, the first thing that comes in my mind is that leaders are quick to recognize what they are doing right while being oblivious to the things causing them to fail. And now I want to take a look at a few examples of not so good leadership. The first example is that the Twitter CTO tweeted that we are sharing this information to help people make an informed decision about their account security. We don't have to, but believe it's the right thing to do. And I'm like, here, what? You don't have to tell me that you saved my password in plain text and everyone can get access into my account? So let me rephrase that. No, they didn't have to. They were obligated to do that. Needless to say that 30 minutes after he posted that tweet, he deleted it. And another example of really bad leadership, well, you guessed it, from Twitter again, is that the Twitter CEO, Jack Dorsey, says company was probably way too aggressive in banning right-wing activists. And I have a thing for Jack Dorsey. He's always talking about how they are trying to improve the platform and they want to have a healthy conversation with many of their members, and they want to fight misinformation and all of this stuff, but they are like just words. They don't follow up with actions, and actions are more important than words. A month ago, the new vice president of Twitter Design wrote a tweet about how some users are harassing a member of his team about how bad the web redesign of Twitter was, and for them to take it down. Pay attention to personal attacks, how he emphasized that in his tweet. Well, I 100% agree that it's not right to harass other people, but this is the reality for many of users on the platform. And my response is that maybe that's what it takes for Twitter to start paying attention to harassment and do something about it, because now they don't do shit. As well as focusing only on the positives when building a product, they keep their heads in the sand when it comes to deal with internal and external problems within their companies. And this is a big mistake of many leaders. The third one is kind of different from culture and leadership, but again, it's really important. It's regulation, and regulation is non-existent right now, and companies keep treating users and users' data with zero respect. Yes, we can say that something's happened with GDPR and the 5 billion fine from FTC to Facebook, but we still have a lot of work to do. So that's how I feel about regulation right now. I'm searching for it. The big problem here is that regulators don't know how tech companies work. And we are having their own set of conversation about regulation. First of all, regulating tech shouldn't set in stone, and it should be highly adaptable, because tech changes so fast where any laws cannot follow up that fast. Do you want to know how regulators think about technology? And here is a great example. I watched Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg hearing in Congress, and one of the questions one of the senators asked is, if you don't charge money for Facebook, how do you make money? And the famous answer of this question was, Senator, we run ads. If you take that as an example, we are in a pretty bad state, and we need to do something about it. I was able to see the whole hearing and to say that I'm disappointed about the questions senators asked would be an understatement. Since I like to decompose messages and what they mean, I would like to take a moment to decompose the $5 billion fine to Facebook from FTC and what it means for Facebook, the future of Facebook, and for us now. Here's a tweet the previous chief security officer of Facebook wrote, well, I don't agree that regulation isn't going to be a threat for technology companies, but I want you to pay attention to the second part of the tweet. Facebook paid FTC $5 billion for a letter that says you never again have to create mechanisms that facilitate competitions. So if you go to Facebook and you ask you need to allow for third-party clients to do X, they can reply to you, sorry, FTC won't let us. If you go and say other companies can build on your graph, can we? They can say, sorry, FTC won't let us. We need real data to export a future that allows users to move, and their reply will be, FTC won't let us. But there is also some good things that this fine did for us. So, for example, Facebook needs to stop using login verification, where you have to provide your email from your email account and your password from your email account to verify your Facebook account. What's happening? I mean, and that feature went into the product cycle and it got approved. So yeah, that's mind-blowing for me. Also, another story is when I tried to enable two-factor authentication on my Facebook account back in a while, I explicitly said that I want my second password to come through a password manager and not through SMS. And why I enabled that, the SMS verification got enabled as well without me doing anything. So as soon as I realized that, I turned it off, but they are doing a lot of sneaky stuff behind the scenes if you don't pay attention. The fourth part of the problem is, again, different from regulation, culture, and leadership. It's uneducated public, and they are uneducated because they don't know what's happening behind the scenes. They do not understand how valuable their data is for companies like Twitter and Facebook. And as a result, they don't know how to keep themselves secure on the internet. And as a result, again, you get things like, who cares about my data? Well, a lot of people care about your data. And they use tactics like same password for every account, which is really, really bad. But in a way, I don't blame them. In the web, you can find a little bit of little information about how you can keep yourself secure in a way where it's accessible and understandable by everyone, not The tech people or the tech bubble? So another one is that a while ago I tried to convince my mother to start using a password manager instead of the same password for every account. And after I explained to her how she can use one password, she said, I cannot use that, it's too complicated. And after I thought about it, it was indeed complicated. So we need to do something about it and fix all of these issues if we want to secure, if we want to keep everyone secure on the internet. The ultimate result is that they value convenience over privacy. But what happens when they know what's at stake and what's happening behind the scenes? Well, after Cambridge Analytica, 25% of US citizens turned on ad blocking into their internet browser settings. So if they know what's at stake, they take action. Now I want to focus on the solution and what we could do. We can keep ignoring the issue as we do already, or we can work together to solve this problem. Again, I want to focus on 4 areas. Let's start with leadership. What's ethical leadership? Ethical leadership is exhibiting morals and values in a management position. Ethical leaders always know how to do the right thing. It may be difficult, but such leader is not afraid to do what they truly believe in. So, lead by example. Define and align your values. Care for yourself so you are able to care for others. Let's take it point by point. Lead by example. To build an ethical company, you must start from the top. Your employees will see your behavioral choices and values and will adopt them in their own practices. To effectively lead, the ethical leader walks the line, wants others to follow. Leading by example is the best way to ensure ethical business. Your employees will trust you, they know that you believe in them and in their work. You also need to promote good conduct. As a leader, you need to have the ability to intervene and always promote good conduct. We need leaders to be willing to intervene informally and steer behavior in their organizations and resolve emerging problems. So for example, when someone comes in your team and say, hey, I want to build that login verification with email and password, you need to say, no, that's unethical, we don't do that. The second point is define and align your values. The personal moral credibility of leaders can be very important in enhancing the effectiveness of ethics regulation. Hire people with similar values. People in an org can make or break your culture, so be careful on who are you hiring. Promote open communication. Be as transparent and vulnerable as possible. Open communication can help your organization build a culture around trusting the leaders more, and as a result, you have happier and more productive people work alongside you. The importance of trust is a really big thing. It can make your organization blossom in ways you couldn't see before. This is extremely important. Be aware of bias. You can find bias in your organization in many forms, such as how people are talking to each other or how behave with one another, and how a company builds its AI systems. For example, I want to take Twitter again and say that the reason why Twitter didn't realize their problem with harassment early enough was because Twitter was built by 4 or 5 white men where they didn't have to deal with harassment even in real life or the digital world. So what would make a difference is to work with people of color, people different than them. Then maybe there will be a chance of finding that harassment is indeed a problem and fix them sooner. No tolerance for ethical violations. Leaders need to have the ability to intervene. The third point is that care for yourself so you're able to care for others. You can do so many things, and the people in your company can adapt your practices. For example, having a steady work schedule from 9 to 5, not sending emails after work time, be open and vulnerable, and admit your mistakes and learn from them and move on. Another area I want to focus on is an engineer's code of ethics. In everything we do, we need to follow a code, but when it comes to software development, a code of ethics doesn't exist. I don't want to call them rules, but they are rules. So, for example, be responsible for the work you put in the world. Engineering is a discipline of action. You are responsible for what you put in the world, and it has your name on it. Value impact over form. Engineering doesn't exist in a vacuum. Society is the biggest system we can impact, and everything we do is part of that system. We need to fear the consequences of our work more than we love the cleverness of our ideas. Accept full responsibility for your work. If you write code that's unethical, then you have to expect and face the consequences for your actions. Ethics in university. Many universities doesn't talk about ethics or even have ethics courses, so students cannot learn the implications of our work has to people's lives. We only focus on the technical side of things, and that's not okay. So, one again of the stories I have to tell you is a conversation I had with one of my professors on AI, on the AI course, where in the introduction course he talked all about how AI can do that, or how AI can be this wonderful thing where it can help people, but he didn't mention any of the bad things AI or people who use AI in a weird way can do to people's lives. So after the course, I went to see him and had a conversation with him, and he didn't then even understand why it was so important, or to be more clear, he didn't want to see why that's not okay. So we need to have more ethics classes in universities, but that's not enough. For example, in my university, we didn't have any ethics classes. And I want again to talk about regulation because it's going to be a big topic, and if I want to go deeper into regulation, I would need like a separate talk for that. Companies are trying to do whatever they can by either delay regulation or not get impacted by it. And again, the big problem is that regulators don't know how tech companies or tech works. So my suggestion here is that regulators need to work with contractors from the tech industry, contractors who really believe that regulation is important in tech, and work together. Another thing they can do is to start having a different mindset about regulation, and for the regulation to be adaptable and to not set in stone. Again, that is really important because tech is moving fast and regulations need to be adaptive. Educate the public. This is a big, again, topic, but there is a really great way to teach public how important it is to keep themselves and their data secure on the internet, And my idea, after trying and having conversations with my either family or a lot of elderly people, is we need to have video content in a way that is accessible and descriptive for everyone to understand, with either like slideshows or something that is really descriptive and they can relate to that. Data has become, without any of us noticing, this set of almost secret currency of the modern economy. And this is beyond dangerous. So why I care, why I want to share this stuff with people? I believe, and I think you believe, that we need to respect user privacy. And I also believe that privacy is a fundamental human right. We have a duty toward the humans on the other end of the screen to build a product that they can love and trust. But we can only do that if we ourselves are transparent and straightforward in a way we do so and the route we take to get there. Thank you. Since I have a bit of time, I can take questions. Anyone? Oh, okay.
Could you go back to the FTC Facebook fine and talk about how, what about that fine, the language of it reduces their Facebook's obligation for competition?
Yeah. So the question is how this fine from FTC to Facebook helps Facebook. So, well, now they will have to have someone to look into them. So they will have someone from FTC or a lot of people to look into their practices on and how they build stuff. So if you, as a developer or someone from another company, say, hey, we need to use this graph, or we need to do that and take that from you, or can I have access to your graph or something similar, they can reply to you and they say, yeah, we can do that, FTC won't let us. So if you again try to build something that's maybe a competition to Facebook, you can't. They are like a monopoly, and now they're a monopoly in a more official way. So you don't have many choices. And they only paid $5 billion for it. They even had this $5 billion from their previous board member meeting. They had covered it up, so yeah, they knew how much they are going to pay. Oh, yeah.
No, you say privacy is like a fundamental right, and regulators don't know how to regulate tech, but it actually seems like a lot of regulators in different countries are moving in the other direction by adding or enforcing key disclosure laws. So it seems that certain regulators around the world are more interested in getting the keys you need to disclose or encrypt something than to ensure you protect those keys.
Yeah, so the thing, from what I see so far and what I researched for, is that it's really a weird place that no one's knowing what's happening in a way, or they don't know what's their course of action. And the thing is that they don't willing to have conversations about it. And so everyone from different countries, they have their own ideas about what's regulation or how should we move forward. And what we should do is to get all these people in one place and let them share ideas together so we can move forward in a more coordinated way. Yeah, but that's exactly what's happening. Yes?
So on privacy as a right, how do we teach the public on the value of privacy? Because the way that it's run in today's paradigm is that
giving up your privacy, the government is keeping you safe because they can detect terrorists, and Facebook is scanning for malware, and that sort of thing.
So how we teach the public about privacy? That was the question. So again, I found videos to be an extremely good way to do that. So for example, one of TED Talks, I cannot remember the name, but I can search for it afterwards. They talk about how a journalist put all of these smart home devices into her apartment, and then she worked with an engineer, and the engineer marked and saw all of the connections that were happening between the devices and the internet, and the results of this is like outrageous to how these companies get away with all of it. And the thing is that smart home devices are extremely not secure. It's the easiest way for a hacker or anyone else to get access into your apartment, into your home. I actually read a story where multiple stories where a hacker got access into an executive from Silicon Valley and turned the heater on like to 90 degrees, and they couldn't make it go, and they couldn't manually fix the temperature. So yeah, it's, again, we need to have more conversations about it and have people share their ideas or how to move forward with it. But yeah, I believe videos is one of the best ways to do it, because anyone can understand pictures in a way. Yeah.
I couldn't hear the previous question, so there was visual inside there, so I'm not sure if this overlaps. But I'm wondering if you know much about the way that the different laws between different countries work. So, for example, in the US you have free speech, and in Canada, most people think we have free speech because we're inundated with US media, but we actually don't have free speech. Hate speech is illegal and it's not allowed. But Twitter is an American company. So does that mean that a Canadian that posts hate speech on Twitter is like okay because it's an American company, or would that person, should they be regulated by the laws of the country that they're in, or is it the laws of the country that they're not?
Actually, this is a really complicated question. So your question was about the different laws about the different countries, and if you post hate speech and you're a Canadian, what happens on Twitter and what they can do about it? Well, they don't do anything about it. So that's the issue, but I don't know really, and I can even discuss it with you later, or have I need to search more about it and have a discussion.
The video that you mentioned,
Yeah. I will post all of the resources there if you're going to check out. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, cool. Thank you.